Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Kabir Considers. In this video, I'm going to react to what not to do in Los Angeles. This video is by Waters World, probably my favorite sort of American travel guide channel on YouTube. He's really resourceful, knows a ton of stuff. And Los Angeles is somewhere that, you know, so many people that aren't from America want to visit, you know, Hollywood, Beverly Hills, you know, Santa Monica, you know, like, and it's somewhere that I definitely want to visit next year as well. But I'm sure, because I've heard a lot about, you know, there's a big homeless situation, I think, in LA. So, you know, this video here, I'm hoping it's going to have a load of nuggets of information for me. So let's do it. What is that? Oh.
Hey there, fellow travelers, Mark here with Walter's World, and today we're here on Venice Beach, and today what we have for you are the don'ts of visiting Los Angeles. And if you're going to come to LA, I think there's one don't you need to realize, and that is don't bother worrying about the traffic, because it will be there all of the time. It doesn't matter if you're going morning, noon, or night, you will have traffic, and a side of traffic. And the thing is, it doesn't get lower, it just gets worse certain times of the day. So make sure you're paying attention when you're going to be driving around town.
Wow, man, that is bumper to bumper.
A 20-minute ride can turn into a 60 or 70-minute ride just like that when it comes to traffic.
Crazy.
So plan ahead, plan your trips during the day. If you're going to be using Uber and Lyft, plan around those peak times, because oh my God, the surge pricing for them can make a $7 trip into like a $37 trip. Ooh. But really, I think where the biggest one is planning your time. If you're getting out to the airports, make sure you're planning around that, because they're not going to hold the plane for you because you got stuck in traffic. Everybody gets stuck in traffic here in LA. It's just a way of life, okay? So just relax, realize that's just part of it, okay? Now, another don't I have for you when you come to LA, a lot of times when you have a city, there's like a downtown center area you go for, and that has all the sights. Well,
I love all the palm trees though. It just has a certain vibe to it, you know what I mean?
LA does have a downtown LA, but I do have a don't for you. Don't really think you need to go to downtown LA, because if you want to go to the Getty, no, it's not there. The Getty Villa, no, it's not there. Yeah, Beverly Hills, nope. Hollywood, nope. Over to the beaches, nope. It's not really packed with lots of stuff as a tourist that you want to do. And I'll talk about later in terms of the glamour versus the grime of LA. But honestly, downtown is not necessarily packed full of sites, okay? So if you're kind of listing out the place you want to go here in LA, maybe you have Santa Monica and Venice Beach, and then you got Beverly Hills and Hollywood, and you got, oh, they're going to the San Fernando Valley, and I want to go up there. I'll be honest with you, downtown will probably, unless you're taking the train from
Someone told me that the palm trees in LA aren't native to the area and that they were all imported. Is that true? Because if so, that's incredible. Like, because that must mean thousands of these palm trees must have been brought in.
Union Station, or you're using the metro, you're probably not going to be wanting to go downtown. And one of the reasons why is our third don't, and that is don't mess with the homeless people when you are here. You will see a lot of homeless people here in LA. I mean, a lot. Whether you're on the beaches here or you're downtown, there is Skid Row. It's downtown. But also, if you're randomly on side streets, you're randomly by restaurants, fast food joints, you will see homeless people all over LA. Now, it's not everywhere, every single spot, but there is a big homeless problem here, and they're working on it. But for you as a tourist, I recommend don't mess with them, because some, yes, are using drugs, and some do have mental illness. You do want to be careful when you're here. Most of the time, they're not going to bother you at all, but I do not recommend you go up and go explore in one of the camps in some of the parks. That would not be a good idea.
Yeah, that's not something I'd do. I'd maybe give them money or food, but I can't think of why anyone would want to mess with them. I mean, you know, just leave them alone.
Now, another don't I have for you is don't bother with public transportation when you come to LA. Look, this is a car city. You will be driving around. Now, some people, they'll be rent cars, some people do Uber and stuff, but honestly, public transportation is not super helpful, okay? The buses, yeah, I probably wouldn't recommend using them. It's probably not your jam, okay? The subway or the metro they have here, it can be helpful if you're in downtown and you want to go to the Santa Monica. Yeah, it goes to Santa Monica. You can go out there and it can stop in Hollywood. So there are some stops that can help you. But the metro, the subway doesn't really go a lot of places for a tourist that's going to be helpful for you. So don't plan on, the public transportation to help you when you're here.
Would you advise for someone who's a tourist to either rent a car or get like Uber or Lyft? Which of the two would you say makes the most sense? Because I imagine having your own car, parking might be an issue, right? Or is finding parking space is easy in LA.
And so you're probably going to be using a lot of Ubers and Lyfts when you're here, or you're going to be driving. I would say for the Ubers and Lyfts, don't order your Ubers and Lyfts, you know, during peak hours, because the prices will skyrocket during then, okay?
Wow.
Plan to avoid as much of the rush hour traffic as you can. Don't try to be any place between 8 and 9. Maybe get there, you know, plan for a 10 or 11 o'clock arrival. And the thing is, it doesn't matter how you're getting around LA. There's another don't I have for you. And it doesn't matter if you're on the bus, if you're on the metro, if you're on in an Uber, you're walking around. Oh, guess what? Don't expect to see any stars when you're here. Yes, this is the home of Hollywood. I mean, Hollywood, there's a sign for it, right? But you don't really see the famous people when you are here. Now, you might, and that would be really, really cool if you did. And please don't freak out in front of them when you see them. One of my friends here really asked me to make sure I didn't do that. And I haven't yet, but I also haven't seen anybody famous. So what I would say is, if you're coming here for that, just maybe take a studio tour and you might meet somebody, or look them up, you know, look up their agency and maybe they'll have a meet and greet or something. But honestly, don't expect to see too many famous people when you are here. Now, you'll see plenty of people that want to be famous, okay? But honestly, there's not too many stars just wandering around.
Yeah, and to be honest, I heard that a lot of movie stars, producers, directors, I heard a lot of them actually moved out of LA recently. So maybe there's been a bit of an exodus.
You know, Hollywood or Beverly Hills or downtown LA, okay? So do have a heads up for that one. And some of those people might look like they're famous. Like you might see, is that Superman? Is that Spider-Man? Is that Mickey Mouse? Well, unless they're like in the Avengers compound or in Disneyland, it's probably not the real Mickey, okay? And that leads me to the street performers don'ts, okay? Whether you're here on Venice Beach or you're going to be, you know, doing the Hollywood Walk of Fame, you will see people dressed up, okay? Buskers and street performers. And then, of course, they want to get a picture with you. And I'll say this, you can get pictures with them, but don't forget to tip them. If you take pictures of them, they expect a tip, okay? $2, $3, $4, $5, that's fine. You can give that to them, and there you go. Don't expect change, but, you know, have some money on the side. But just know that if you don't tip them, they will probably harass you to take pictures. And sometimes it can get a little uncomfortable. I mean, you can look it up online. There's been some uncomfortable situations when it comes to the buskers getting their picture taken but not getting paid. So don't forget to tip them if you do take pictures, because they will come up to you and they will come up to your kids and try to get pictures and stuff. So just be ready. That's what I always say. Have some singles, have some fives with you so you can just tip, thanks, hit the pictures. And they'll be nice to you later on if they see you again walking around. But just have a heads up. Now, my next don't for you is when you're coming to LA and you want to hit the beach. And I mean, there's tons of beaches here. I mean, we got Venice Beach, you know, Santa Monica Beach, Huntington Beach, I mean, Manhattan Beach. There's just beach after beach after beach. You'll be fine finding beaches, and they're all gorgeous. I mean, honestly, palm trees and beautiful sand and wide.
What's the weather like in LA? Because it looks like it's to me at least, hot all of the time. Or is it quite a temperate place that has all 4 seasons? Is it quite mild, like sort of 20 degrees Celsius? I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. Let me know.
It's just awesome. But I'm going to tell you this. Don't expect that water to be inviting when you get in, because the water here is really, really, really cold. So if you're going to be doing a surfing lesson, you're going to be going out in the water, maybe rent that wetsuit just to make it a little bit more enjoyable when you're out there. The kids won't care, but you know, kids walk around with their snot hanging down, so who cares? But like, you know, if you don't like being cold, it might be something you want to think about. Now, when you're going to be coming to LA, one of the best tips I got from a friend of mine, Lee, and she's like, Mark, if you're going to do anything, don't forget to get the LA Times 101 restaurants list, okay? What this LA Times list is, it's 101 really great restaurants you can eat at and visit here in LA. And it's not just high-end stuff. It's from high-end to literally...
I have never seen, hold on a minute.
Here in LA. And it's
3 fried eggs on a pizza. Never seen that before in my life. Definitely would try it though.
It's not just high-end stuff. It's from high-end to literally, you know, food trucks that you can go to. And it's a great list. If you don't have, you know, a subscription to the LA Times, you can look online and you'll see it. But honestly, you can find great places all over the city. Well, the city, all over the area, because LA is more than just a city. Like the LA city, there's so many more places. But honestly, that LA Times 101 restaurants list is a must-do, because then you're guaranteed to eat well no matter where you are in the city. And when you're driving around to go to some of those great restaurants, another don't I have for you is don't drive aimlessly when you're going to be driving here in LA. I know you're going to be doing a lot of driving, but make sure you have your GPS, have it planned in so you know where you're going, because some of the neighborhoods aren't very nice and you do not want to go to them. So you want to make sure you're staying on the path you want to go. And if you're not sure, you can always ask your concierge. You can ask your, front desk, hey, this is the way I'm going to go. Do you think it's okay? They'll be fine. Honestly.
Yeah, I think I've heard just from rap songs which areas you would consider quite dangerous, like so Crenshaw or Compton. Like, I think those are two areas in LA that are quite dangerous. I'm trying to think of some other ones. South Central. Maybe this information's quite outdated though.
If you're using GPS, you'll be okay, but I really don't recommend just driving off saying, oh, there's a lot of traffic here, I'll just hop off the highway. Might not be the best thing to do. And when you're driving around and you're trying to find a place to park, another thing I'm going to tell you is don't expect to find free parking or cheap parking pretty much anywhere. And the parking things here, I talk about that in another video we have, the mistakes people make in LA, but parking here can be a real headache. All right. So just be prepared with your credit card and your phone, because you can pay a lot of times by your phone or with your credit card, because yes, it's that expensive to park here. And if you do get stuck in traffic, especially like you're on the 405 or one of the other highways, another don't I have for you is if you are stuck on the freeway, okay, whether you're on the 405 or the 5 or the 10, wherever, okay, if you're thinking you're going to just hop out of that traffic jam and go along the shoulder of the road, don't do it, or at least don't forget to look back, because I've seen multiple accidents and almost accidents happen by people flying down the shoulder to kind of get around the traffic jam. So do be careful with that, because I mean, my Uber driver and I about died because the guy did that. So I want to make sure you're not getting hurt when you are driving here. So have a heads up for it. And you notice I said the 405, the 5, the 10. My next don't for you is don't forget the in front of those freeways here, okay? It's not I-5, it's not I-10, it's not I-405, it's the 405, the 5, the 10. That's how you call it here, okay? So that's just something, you might want to know when you're here, because people will tell you, oh, you want to go out to, Disneyland, you want to go here, you're going to take and you're like, oh, okay. It's not like, oh, is that back road 405 or 405th Street? No, it's the 405. That's the freeway. Now, another thing I think is important, since this is the home of Hollywood.
I feel like when I eventually, get to Hollywood and I go up to these signs, I feel like I might be underwhelmed. Like, is there like a secret sort of venue underneath that's like a club or something, or is it literally just these wooden signs?
And the Hollywood sign, you got to get a picture of it. Obviously, one of the things you should know is you don't drive up to the Hollywood sign because you can't get near it. So if you're going to be at some of the good lookout points around town, because got the hills around here, just get your picture from there, and that'll be a lot nicer and less frustrating, and you don't have to drive up to it. So just don't, because it's just not worth it. Another don't when you're in Hollywood or Beverly Hills for that matter is don't feel obligated to take a tour of the stars trip or tour of the stars tour, because most likely, one, you're not going to see any stars. Two, you might see their houses, but it could be their houses they owned like 6 times ago, or not the house they live in all the time. It's just a house they happen to own. Or just be lovely entertained with the wall outside their house. Now, some you actually will see the houses and stuff, but it's not as like life-changing as you think it's going to be.
Life-changing.
It can be cool. And then most of the time when it's cool, it's,
oh my God, I saw Sylvester Stallone's house.
it's the banter and the chit chat that the tour guides have. But as a traveler, don't expect too much. Now, if you do meet some locals when you're here in Hollywood and they say, hey, let's meet up, they'll meet up with you. I mean, honestly, people in LA, for a big city, they've been super friendly. But I will say this, don't expect them to be on time. Okay. It's not like, oh, we're just late. I mean, no, have you seen the traffic? You can never plan to be on time because the traffic will make you late. And so since everyone knows the traffic makes them late, it makes them late anyway, even if there's no traffic. So if you're meeting a friend for lunch at like 12, don't be surprised they don't show up till 12:30 or 1 because of traffic.
Wow.
Even if there's no traffic, just be ready for a little bit of lateness. Now, another note, which I found kind of funny was I'm here, is don't smoke cigarettes or vape. That is like totally uncool when you're here. Like it's totally not, it's like a verboten thing, but don't be surprised if you smell a different kind of smoke all over the city, in your hotels, on the streets, all over the place, though you should.
The ganja.
Shouldn't smell it in your hotels because they'll say not to do it. but you'll smell some kind of funny smoke when you're around LA. But don't let it be like cigarettes or vaping, because you can get in trouble with that one, it seems, and people really look down on you. Now, if you're looking for something a little bit different, if you're tired of the beach, and you're tired of wandering around, another don't I have for you is don't forget the museums that are here in LA. LA's got a fantastic collection of museums.
Whoa, is that a mammoth?
And
a mammoth skeleton.
Sites to visit. I mean, how many didn't hear about the La Brea tar pits when you were a kid? Yeah, you can go there. Or you can go to LACMA, the Los Angeles County Museum of Art, which is literally next to the La Brea tar pits. The Broad is another great museum, but probably the most important museum to see here when you are here, I would say, is the Getty Center. Okay, go into the Getty Center. It's just incredible collection of art, but also not just the art that's there, but the whole grounds is just fantastic. The Central Gardens, the view, I mean, just going up there is worth it for the view when you're there. But still, don't skip the beach. It's really awesome, okay? Even if it's chilly, it's still awesome. But I know when people think of here, they think of Hollywood and the studios and Disneyland. And so I gotta tell you, don't forget about some of those. Going to Universal Studios Hollywood, where you get to do the tour and see some backlots and stuff, but also you can do the rides in Harry Potter World. That's really cool. Or if you want to go to, Disneyland, yeah, you can head up to Disneyland. Knott's Berry Farm, yeah, you should go check it out, especially when
How much should I budget, as, a guy, like, on his own per day? Like, I'm trying to think here, including transportation, so like Ubers and things like that. Well, maybe including hotel, $300 a day, something like that. Less, more.
they have one of their holiday things like Knott's Scary Farm. That's kind of a cool late night thing to do when you're here. It's really cool to go to those things. So don't not visit them when you're here. If you got the chance, you should, because it is part of Americana. It is part of visiting LA, is going to those amusement parks. But don't forget to schedule your ride back from the amusement park, because sometimes it's a little bit tough to get an Uber or Lyft out there. So just FYI on that one. Now, if we're going to look at something a little bit fancier when we're here in LA, you always have Beverly Hills. And what you need to realize is Los Angeles isn't just Los Angeles. Beverly Hills is its own city. And there's like 80, 90, 100 cities that could kind of like go into LA to make the LA metro area. And in general, when you think of Beverly Hills, you're always thinking of Rodeo Drive, right? The 3 blocks. Yeah, it's just 3 blocks, okay, of incredible stores when you're there. And my thing is don't think you're going to need a ton of time to explore Rodeo Drive. But honestly, Rodeo Drive is just 3 blocks long. So maybe don't think you need a lot of time when you're there, because it is cool to walk.
So it seems like it's more of a kind of a couple of hours type thing, unless you're planning to just shop and shop and shop.
Up it and cool to, go to Rodeo Drive and walk that little pedestrian street that's, a circle part of a block. It is cool. And you'll honestly see where like half of the dance videos on Instagram and TikTok are filmed, or at least it seems like that. But don't think you need a lot of time when you're in Beverly Hills. There's some cool stuff to see there, like Rodeo Drive, and there's some museums, and you got the sign that's there, and you can go around and see some beautiful homes. But another part of the city that I think is important for you to like have a dome for is, when you think of Hollywood, you think of glitz and glamour. Don't think of Hollywood here in LA as glitz and glamour. It's more grit and grime is Hollywood than glitz and glamour, okay? So be kind of in that mental state when you go there, and it won't be as much of a surprise for you when you show up. And I think my last don't I have for you is really don't be surprised if some of the main sites you see around LA do seem a bit run down. You think, for as famous as some of these things are, shouldn't they be all cleaned up and spiffed up? They're working on it, but just know that if you want like spick and span and super clean and stuff like that, look at this beautiful beach. Come out here. It's amazing. Okay. Wow. But I just want you to have a heads up for that. If you are going to be coming here to LA, there's tons of stuff for you to see and enjoy when you are here. I hope this helps you prepare for your trip to LA, and I'll say bye.
Really interesting. I have to say that the point that he mentioned about LA and the landmarks being a bit run down was really surprising, because I would have thought it's one of the most popular cities in the world. People flock from all over the world to see it. I would have thought that they'd spend a ton of money making it look as good as possible. But I guess until I see it for myself, it's going to be hard for me to, make a judgment on it. But yeah, I still can't wait to visit. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.